Trading, you know, I think it's really not that complicated. I think people tend to overcomplicate it. You don't need like 20 indicators on the chart. You don't need to, you know, look at 15 different strategies. I think that
you just need to buy low and sell high.
right. I mean, as simple as that sounds,
Yeah.
but I think this, you know, what you can do is at first learn how to mark out support and resistance zones.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is like basically playing it level to level. That's the easiest way to do it. And that's really what there is to trading. And of course, we have our indicators. We have the Maxi Trading Buddy. That's our custom indicator. And then this is just a Stotch RSI.
That's it. That's all you're using.
Yeah, that's all you need really, because here we marked out support. So I'm going to mark out, you know, another supports / resistance, depending on whether it bounces on the pullback. But what you're doing is like looking at as many peaks and valleys. So this is, I like to start with the weekly chart, because I think the best way to mark it out is start with the weekly chart and then sort of zoom in. You know, then you could check the same lines on the daily chart, and then if you want, you could do the 4 hours even. Yeah. But always start with the weekly charts. So on the weekly chart, what I do is I look at where. So here, you see like there are a bunch of wicks, and this is kind of a valley, and here's another valley. So I would mark a line so that it touches all of those. Like the more touches to it, the stronger it's going to be. And so I think what the DXY is trying to do, if we change this to the daily chart, you can see that it's dropping. What it's trying to do is like basically flip this line to support. So if it has to continue in the uptrend, what it's going to do, and this is the ideal scenario, is it drops here, it kind of, you know, it kind of goes down, maybe it takes out a few stops, and then goes up. And then it would flip this line to support.
And if that happens, we can be kind of like more confident that it's going to move up further in the coming days or weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, if it does that, what are some of the areas where it might top out? Mm-hmm. So for that, you change the chart back to the weekly time frame. Yeah. And then you're doing the same thing. So here, I can see there's a wick here. You know, think of it as like the floor and the ceiling, and that's how I visualize it. Like, so here you see another peak here, a wick, maybe a wick here, another peak. So I would sort of mark it here, maybe, you know, and then maybe take this wick too. So that would be kind of the next resistance zone. At least that's the way I see it. And then, so the same thing about that would be here, because you see, big wick. And so after this, yeah, so after this, what I would do is go change to the daily chart, and then sort of like finesse the same lines. So you don't need to like add extra lines. You just take the same lines and make sure if they need any finessing. See, so I'm just like finessing it. So here it touches this, touches all these wicks, and gets this peak too. And then the same thing here. So here, just like moving it a little bit here. So it gets this. So the more touches, the stronger it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And and that's what you want. So that's basically T in a nutshell. So whatever the current candle is, all you're doing is like playing it level to level.
Yeah. I like your
So
approach to it too. It's very visually driven. You don't necessarily need to
yeah,
know much
you
of
don't
math. Yeah.
like, I mean, like, you know, to be honest, I'm not good at math at all. Like for me, this visually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good at this just because like it visually completely makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's the easiest way to like sort of approach this, you know? And so what you're doing is, if you want to take a trade, all we're doing is like using our indicator, the Maxi Trading Buddy. And what you're doing is like basically looking to see if this is like bullish or bearish. And then I might use the starch RSI, but say we haven't got a bull print yet. The bands seem to be pinching, but we might get a bull print soon. Like if it does an SR flip here, and if it starts going up, and if we get a bull print, then what you're doing is playing this range, and that's all you're doing. You're basically playing. Here, let me try that. So you see, so it's
so then
it's level to level.
Yeah, so then you'd enter a position as soon as like we see the flip, we'd enter a position, and then we'd know that okay, if we reach for instance in this chart around 104.75, if we reach there, we should start potentially either scaling out or starting to set tight stop loss, since we might be ready for that pullback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm just going to delete this so it's a little cleaner. So say it reaches this zone, and then you're going to wait to see if it either pushes past. Sometimes it could do a fake out. It's called deviation, where like, you know, if say it goes up, then it could do this little deviation and then come back down.
Yeah, so like
this little like U-shaped thing, like that's just to like take out some stops.
Yeah, you can kind of see that to the left right there on your current resistance line. If you just like before the last bear print, you can see we were like trading right on the line, right on resistance, and then we did push up, and then we
perfect example.
Yeah, there it is.
So this was kind of a bull trap, because people, you know, who aren't experienced, they would have seen this and they're like, okay, you know what, it's crossed the line, it looks bullish, let me enter here. But then so if it goes above and falls back under support, that's what a deviation is. And the same thing can happen at the bottom too.
Yeah, it's okay for it to go above and come back and retest the line. We just don't want it to fall below like it has here. So in that example, you can see we never really did close above the line and then bounce off of it. We only were we were trending around, and then it fell straight back below, and then that line very much has been resistance since then.
Exactly.